Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week from Rockdale. And as usual, I'm your host, Larry Cox, and it's great to have you guys join me tonight and say hi to a few people in the chat. Good evening, Tina Hobbs, Mary Boysworth. Hey, guys, why don't we do Jill Oden? Great to have you. Catherine Lynn, great to have you here tonight also. Why don't we go ahead and like and share the show, and let's get that portion of our announcements done with tonight so we can share what's going on tonight with folks, because I'm going to do more of a community service report tonight. Now, I may throw some jabs at the old county commission like I always do, but I'm going to do some shout out to an organization that's doing actually good in the community. Corliss Turner, glad to have you here tonight, founder of Voices for Rockdale. So it is great for you guys to be here this evening. And Danielle Munez, great to have you here tonight too, Danielle, from way up north. Now, is it snowing up there yet, Danielle? Do you have the white stuff on the ground yet? She'll let us know here in a minute. But guys, I'm excited about what's going on here in the coming future and what we can do as citizens in Rockdale County to reset Rockdale and take our government back. And I know we've got a good team here of people that want to know what's going on and expose the wrongdoings of our county government. So. 6 inches on the way tomorrow. I remember those days when I lived in the hills of West Virginia, and you had that snow coming and probably not going to have school the next day up in the mountains, because you get more than 4 inches. It was iffy whether you were going to have school or not. And you get 1 or 2, 3 inches, you're going to school. But you get that 6 and over, and they get a little sketchy about throwing those buses out there on the mountains, running those kids up and down. So that's always, but I enjoyed driving on the snow and the snows and the trees and on the mountains. So I actually miss seeing that scenery. So that's just me. So hey, do want to say something. I want to hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you guys had a wonderful time with family. I'm sure that we've got a lot of people that traveled and came back, or they are still out of town that are normally watch the show, and just wish you guys safe travel. I'm just hopeful that everyone had just a great Thanksgiving, visiting family and loved ones, and just had that time to cherish one another. I know with our family, we had a wonderful time visiting our daughter and her kids, and it was just, it was great for them to come up. They hadn't been up in a while. They've been busy down in Savannah, and Beth and I had been down there a couple times this year, but they hadn't been up for a few, 7, 8 months. So we were really, really glad to see everybody up here, and it was great to spend that quality time with them. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for joining the show tonight, and again, extend those blessings, and hope you all had a great time with family. So first of all, I'm going to start off with I want to recognize an organization. So let me go over here and put this up here. Needs double for Rockdale County nonprofit ahead of end of year holidays. So this is Sandra Jackson Lett. She's a member of the school board, but she's also the new executive director of the Rockdale Emergency Relief. So Rockdale Emergency Relief is a great nonprofit that does a lot of great work in Rockdale County. Its mission is to help underserved families in their time of need. They do that with grants and such. So Ms. Lett said at the end of October of 21, they had served 1,390 residents. At the end of October this year, that need had almost grew by 70%. They had served 2,369 individuals compared to that 1390 the year before. There's a real need out there in the community. So people are hurting. The economy is bad, and people, prices have gone up, and people are just struggling. They funded the programs through federal and community grants and donations made by area businesses and schools. Guys, this organization does a lot of good in this community, and they need our help. So the emergency relief provides financial assistance for rent, light, gas, and water, and also provides a community food bank for those who demonstrate residency within the county. The nonprofit has Giving Tuesday each Tuesday to promote their goal to raise $300,000 in funds for rental assistance and utility assistance programs, as well as their community food bank. So, and here's, they've got their information. You can donate. They have a physical location at 350 Tall Oaks Drive in Conyers. You can send it to Zelle to rerinfo350@gmail.com. You can go by, drop it off, check or whatever. You can Zelle it to them, and then you can call the nonprofit at 770-922-0165 to volunteer. I think that would be a great thing to do. Like I said, but I did want to highlight this local organization who actually provides, like I say, the rent, light, gas, and water assistance. And now here's where I am going to throw that jab at our Rockdale County Board of Commission. So our county commission got those ARPA funds. And with those ARPA funds, we could have helped senior citizens and struggling single parents and homeless individuals in Rockdale County. We could have done that, and we had millions of dollars to do it with. But our county government, they decided, if you wanted some assistance, the state was offering a program, go through the state. They offered no utility assistance, no food assistance, and no rental assistance. So guys, Rockdale County could have stepped up big time and allocated those ARPA funds to the citizens of Rockdale County. And the citizens of Rockdale County could have benefited from those funds. But no, our county government used those funds in a wasteful, actually in a manner that did nothing more but add debt to us, the taxpayers, because they used those funds to increase salaries and wages. So that's what they did. And that's ridiculous. So Mary Boysworth got a comment here I want to put up. Okay. When my husband and I were struggling years ago, we couldn't get food stamps, but they paid. So, Rockdale Emergency Relief, we got one of our listeners here, viewers, that's actually benefited from this organization. So, great organization, worthwhile organization. And Sandra Jackson Lett is a member of the school board who routinely votes for the citizens of and taxpayers of Rockdale County. She has voted not to raise the millage rate. She's actually voted. She did not vote to renew Terry Oaks' contract. So Sandra Jackson has proven herself as someone who cares and is deeply rooted in Rockdale County. So I want to commend her for stepping up and taking the reins here at Rockdale Emergency Relief and continuing the good works of this nonprofit and this organization to help struggling rock. And, and I'm sure a lot of these struggling individuals are our senior citizens. Because as I have mentioned several times, two of the biggest population groups, the two biggest population groups, 50 to 64, 64 and over. So these individuals would be the individuals who would most likely be in need of an organization like this. And like I'm saying, this county commission had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to step up, allocate those ARPA funds to the right thing. So what is Corliss saying here? Let me put this. In 2020, Sherry Per, the on Common Ground, said 2.5 be used for small business homes, and that was none of that was done per the OR. No, none of that was done. None of that was done. They stated they were going to do that. That's one thing. This Board of Commission is very good about saying they're going to do these community-oriented things. They're going to put the community first. They're going to listen to the community. But they say we hear you. They never say they're going to listen. There's a difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is a function that just happens. If your ears work properly, you hear. It doesn't mean that you take that information, process it, and form an opinion and do something with it. That's listening. When you actually take what your ears hear, formulate an opinion or formulate something from it and take, that's listening. So our commission does not listen. They just hear. And then they do what they want to do because they do not use anything that's told to them to actually formulate a plan or idea or take that and do something constructive with it. So like I was saying, guys, we had an opportunity with these ARPA funds to really help struggling Rockdale County citizens. And the county decided to do what the county does best. They put it into the general fund, and they used it for pay raises and bonuses. That one might say, well, that's good. The people that got that, they live in Rockdale. No, they don't. Over 80% of the individuals who work for Rockdale County do not live in Rockdale County. So no. So the raises and bonuses that they gave the individuals that work here went out of county. All that money left Rockdale County. It didn't stay in Rockdale County. But if this Board of Commission would have actually helped with utilities, helped with rental assistance, helped to make sure they made, helped with a little bit of payroll or something, made sure they made their rent for a couple months and they didn't have to close their doors, then maybe, our economy in this county would be better than it is right now. Maybe so. Maybe it would. Maybe they wouldn't have to just keep hammering at you and I, the taxpayers of Rockdale County. But they're going to keep hammering you and I, the taxpayers of Rockdale County, because that's all they know what to do. But the more that they do this, the more that we're going to need things like Rockdale Emergency Relief. Now, for years they've touted this Restoration Storehouse. Restoration Storehouse, it's just a building that some nonprofits are going to have to pay rent. It's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. You put nonprofits in one location so you don't have to drive all over the place and get resources. That's the idea behind it. And that this Restoration Storehouse would be a clearinghouse. But guys, it's just, we could have did that somewhere else and not that location. and not mismanaged and mishandled the most valuable asset the county had. So, today, Bill Campbell gave me a call today, and a friend of ours, Don Myers, sent us an email out today about just making everybody aware that we still have the issue in Rockdale County. 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, one of the firms that did the audit, they wrote that their concern was the unfunded retirement that the county was facing. And Bill was going to call our friend Don and ask him, but it was millions and millions of dollars. I know it was over $20 million that it was underfunded, and that number would be going up each year because they were not funding that. That's called an unfunded liability. So, Bill, if you talk to Don, you can tell me yes or no if you did get a number from him. But this is the thing about it. And Don and Bill and I talked about this earlier today. Is the concern is with the county? They borrowed $26 million a few years ago for for water. They just borrowed another $20 million for something else. They were going to end up getting $110 million for the PFA for the courthouse stuff. And then on top of that, if you've got this unknown, unfunded liability of retirement, can the county really afford to go on the hook for this $110 million PFA when we have unfunded amount? Really, we know it's a substantial amount, well over $20 million, and growing. So is the county in a financial situation when you have this debt that's unfunded and you've not looked at or taken any measure to fund it, and yet you're going to go borrow $110 million that at the end of the day, it's going to be more than $110 million. Whether they get the $72 million grant that they've applied for from the federal government or not. At the end of the day, it's going to be $180 million to do what they want to do, because they're proposing a bigger than asked for $140 million back in 2018. So prices have went up. I mean, I went to the grocery store today and I bought some turkey at the deli. It was $13 a pound for this lunch meat, for this sliced turkey. $13 a pound. I remember a couple of years ago it was $4.99, $5 a pound for this sliced turkey. It is $13 a pound now for that sliced turkey. That's out of control, guys. Totally out of control. So if we think that we're going to build something in 2024, 2025 for the same price that we were going to in 2018, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. The unfunded liability was north of $30 million last year. Bill just put that up there. I want to put that there because this is very important. It's in the financial report. Last year, the unfunded liability was north of $30 million. $30 million and growing. Would that not be correct, Bill? $30 million and then we've got these guys that, like I said, and if they don't get the $7 million grant from the federal government, then what will happen? Which they're going to end up borrowing and putting more than $110 million in it anyway, guys. Just that's reality. We're looking at $150, $180 million, $200 million. And when I talk about at the end of the day, in 40 years, it's going to be $500 million in debt. $500 million when you count interest. We're going to borrow these funds when they don't even know how they're going to, of the individuals working that are going to retire. They have no plan in place. They have no funding mechanism. Well, they do have a plan in place. It's called U&I. They'll just raise the millage rate 3 or 4 more mills to get what they need to pay that. That's they do have a bank. They've got their own personal bank, and it's called the Citizens of Rockdale County. You are their personal bank. You are the piggy bank. But I think it's shameful. It is shameful as to what this Board of Commission has done. This Board of Commission is not, this is not representing a government. You can go out and talk to anybody in Rockdale County other than the characters that are going to make money off of what goes on. Every one of us, you can ask everyone who is not going to benefit from this nonsense, and they will tell you they're not for this. They don't want this. And we can write letters. We can stand on our head. Corliss, unfortunately, we can go and talk all we want. Doesn't matter. Well, only thing that will matter is to vote these characters out of office. Yeah, we go up there and shame them a little bit, and they'll play us a little bit and say, we hear you, we hear you. And then they'll have a meeting and say what they think we want to hear. And then they go ahead and do behind closed doors what they want to do in the first place. They tell us, we hear you, we're going to change our ways. We all heard you're going to get your forensic audit. We're going to do your forensic audit. No, they're not going to do a forensic audit because there's too much for them to hide to do a forensic audit. The only way there's a forensic audit ever going to occur is if two of those individuals are voted out of office and 2 new people come in and say, let's do a forensic audit. I tell you, I've hold no bones about it. I intend to run for chairman in 24. And if I haven't enough to be elected, I will, the first day in office, demand a forensic audit because I will not feel comfortable overseeing the finances of this county if a forensic audit is not accomplished at that point. Alex, I want to put that up there because, dude, I think you're right. Rockdale County will end up a national story on fiscal responsibility. I agree with you, Alex. I think we will end up being a national news story of how not to run government. We will be because we will be in bankruptcy. We will not be able to pay our bills. They will be taxing people out of existence. I mean, we've got this old population that's moving into this county. The census told us that. The census told us that we have an older population moving into this county. That means we are going to have a group of individuals on fixed incomes living in Rockdale County who are not going to be able to afford the tax increases that are coming their way. They talk about, they've got these 4,000, 5,000 housing units coming in. I don't think they'll fill these housing units. I think it's a pipe dream. I think they'll sit there empty. I know they've got some new units that have been built in the last year and a half, and a lot of those are empty. They can't fill them because people can't afford that kind of payment or rent right now that they're asking for those things. Irresponsibility. Yeah, it's irresponsible. 100%, guys. These guys are totally irresponsible. And we can go to all the meetings we want, and we should go to the meetings. I'm not saying don't go to the meetings. They need to hear from the citizens, and the citizens still need to put their voice out there, and they still need the other citizens need to hear. Citizens who are concerned and look into this stuff, they need to hear all of us talk about this, and we still need to discuss it. But we have to be real about this. And the reality is this: as long as you have Oz Nesbitt, Sherry Washington, and Doreen Williams in office, any of that combination, you have to lose two. If you don't lose two, no, you don't only just have to lose two, but you have to lose two to people who are not like them. And there becomes the tricky part, because there were some people who ran for office this time who I thought wasn't like them, but I've been seeing some rhetoric from individuals on Facebook that, man, I said, I didn't really know those individuals. They're not who they said they were. So I don't believe they would have been any different. Individuals who are running for office. Clayton, we've got to have to lose. I'm going to put this up there and then talk about it. I agree. Or gain two. Clayton, I think the only way we gain two is lose two. Because the only way this local delegation is actually going to pass any kind of government reform for Rockdale County through local legislation is if the Board of Commission asks for it in a resolution. That's just reality. You're going to have to lose two to gain two. I think if we do lose two individuals, that will be a possibility. Again, one of the things I will be running on is that during my tenure, that if I'm chairman, I ought to propose a resolution to change our form of government. Now, the way it works is anybody who's elected to an office during that time, they have to serve. So they would have to adjust our government to fit the individuals that are in there. So that's the way the law works. So let's just say we've got the chairman. So we would change our government, add our commissioners. We would, if we change it to a county, the county commissioner type, where you have the county manager, then we would still have the CFO type chairman until that person's term expires. Then that position goes away. Then you elect the commissioner at that point. Because I've checked into this and checked how the state law works regarding that. So it's a process to do. But I think during my term, I would work myself out of a job, is what I would do. At the end of my 4 years as chairman, there would not be another all-powerful chairman like we have now. We would have the county manager who would answer to all 5 of the commissioners, and those commissioners would then elect one of themselves just to be what they would call the chair, who just would run the meeting. And that would be a good process for Rockdale. But then again, you've got to talk this local delegation into doing the county manager. You do with the chairman. Just being honest with you, I think you would end up being stuck with the chairman. I really do. But adding the 5 and a county manager would be great step in advancing Rockdale County to true representative government. Right now, we do not have representative. We live under tyranny. We have 3 tyrants that are governing Rockdale County at this point, because they do not listen to you. People went to the meetings. They've said they want this. Everybody has said they want responsibility. They've asked for audits. They've asked for the taxes. And we hear you. We hear you. And then they'll go off and have a little meeting and say all these grand things, and then they do what they want to do. They pass PFAs behind your back. They build courthouses right in front of you. They put together a fake committee behind closed doors in the darkness of the night. And then remember, guys, this committee met in private, in secret, before they met in person. Their intention was to never meet in open until they had come up with their resolution to present to the board. Then they planned on having public meetings after they did their work. That was the plan. That was the real plan that was concocted this board, and not only with this board, with compliant pretend members, because these members are just window dressing. This is not a real board. They're not doing anything. They're just rubber stamping what the Board of Commission wants. This is all predetermined and pre-decided. And that's reality, and that's the fact. But can you stop it? I believe you can. I believe you can stop this. How do we stop this? First thing we want to do is Ken Holmes and I, through the Rockdale Voter, are going to apply to send an application for 901 and 903 Main Street to be added to the National Registry of Historic Buildings. Once we do this, it will take process. If the application is accepted to be considered, then it's 2 years before they make a decision usually. And at that point, you make a decision. And I also want to say something. Just because a building's on the National Registry doesn't mean it can't be torn down. But it takes actually an act of Congress to do it. So, and we all know how that works, right? So what we need to do is we need to do that and delay that process. Then what we also have is we have another step we can do. When we saw that the lost bonds had to be presented to our judicial system for approval, and then we saw that the JDA, our neighboring counties over here in Morgan, Newton, Jasper, and Walton, that their JDA bonds had to go before the courts to be approved for the Rivian, and the court denied those bonds. Now it's being appealed, but that's all we want. It's being appealed because they question the fiscal responsibility and of that action. And the court ruled it was irresponsible, that they didn't feel that Rivian had shown a sound fiscal past to be able to actually enter into that agreement and back those bonds. So, and pay those bonds. Because ultimately, if Rivian that, then the tax those 4 counties would be responsible for that several $100 million of bonding that they were asking for. So the same thing would be true for the PFA. Once the PFA goes through the hearing process and it gets voted on and rubber stamped by the 5 individuals who will eventually be appointed by actually one of the members of the fake committee, Judge Mumford, will appoint 2 of those members of the PFA authority. So we have the ability to actually challenge the issuance of those bonds through that leak. We have to go and file documents with the circuit court. When that is filed, whenever that is voted on and approved, we will protest it. I'm in the process at this point of who will do this for us pro bono. We have to pay whatever filing fees are necessary, and we will protest these bonds being issued, because we will say that the citizens of Rockdale County aren't able to afford that debt. And we'll use the debt that the county has as an example, and we'll use they had to raise our millage rate to even believe they would qualify to actually be able to ask for bonding, because they were going to have to raise money to show they were fiscally stable enough to actually qualify for bonding. So guys, I'm just telling you, I believe there are ways to delay this. And the hope is, let's delay this through 24. Let's work together as a community. Elizabeth and Sherry Washington. If we throw these out, then we can stop that nonsense. We can actually build something at Parker Road for $30 or $40 million. And we can put an end to the insanity. That's what we can do. We can really do that. But it's going to take us as a community working together, putting political differences aside, putting party affiliations aside, and doing the right thing for the community. Because trust me, guys, these parties do not give a damn about you as an individual. It's all about power and greed. It really is. One thing about you as an individual, no matter what they say, no matter what they do. And that's either party, either political party, guys. So I ask each and every one of you, think long and hard about what you want to do and how you want to help in this process. Because there are things we can do. But it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to take some intestinal fortitude. Because you're going to have to stand up to the man. And you're going to have to be heard, and you can't show fear, because if they see that you're afraid, they'll just run all over you. Guys, I'll speak at anything and talk to anything and tell these guys anything face to face. I've done it. I've been on stage with Oz Nesbitt a few weeks ago, and we talked, and there was a clear difference. Anyone who was in the room, they heard there was a difference between how I envisioned Rockdale County and how the chairman envisioned Rockdale County. There's a clear difference on how the citizens of Rockdale County envision Rockdale County and the chairman. There's a clear difference on how the citizens envision Rockdale County and how Sherry Washington and Doreen Williams envision Rockdale County. So if you, the citizens of Rockdale County, will take charge and do what you need to do and work together, we can make a difference. I'm going to put this kind of chorus. Rockdale, we need to work together like never before. Don't let the Rockdale voter and the voices of Rockdale be out there alone. Look what happened with the senior petition. We can do this together. I agree. We can do this together. So all it takes is for us to know that we got each other's back. And that's what I want us to do. I want us to have each other's back in this situation. I've got your back and you have my back. Together, we're going to fight for what's right for Rockdale County. We're going to fight for what's right for the citizens of Rockdale County. And with your help, we make it happen in Rockdale County. I'm going to let you guys off here this evening. Again, I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving with your families. I look forward to the months and weeks ahead as we discuss what we can do to make our community better. I look forward to working with each and every one of you in trying to get our local delegation to help the citizens of Rockdale County, because that's their job also. And I've got a few people I'm going to have come on the show here in the next little bit, and they're going to tell some stories about how the local delegation has let them down. I just think it's important that we hear from everyday citizens that live in Rockdale County and how local government and county government, state government has failed their citizens. So we're going to do that, and we're going to let you know, and that way you're going to know the only way to truly make a difference, besides speaking out. We have to speak out. Speaking out alone is not enough. It's taking action, and that action ultimately will be voting incumbents out of office who don't listen to you. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you next week, and I look forward to it. I'll actually see you Wednesday. I will be doing a midweek show. Thanks, and good night.